Hi, it's Angelo Caruso, michaelangelocaruso.com. I teach presentation skills to everybody, and I guess it's fair to say I'm a professional writer because I get paid to write. I have a blog post that gets a lot of attention. I write speeches for keynotes that I do all over the world. I create content for my webpage. I coach others on presentation on the written word. And I've been fortunate to have my content shared in a lot of different places. Sometimes it's a contribution that I make, and sometimes it's a paid service to provide these articles. And I marvel at how lame I am at proofreading. And so what we're going to offer you today are some tips for proofreading so that you're not embarrassed and you don't make mistakes in public. That's really what a proofreading error is, right? If you make a mistake and you're the only one that catches it, it's not so bad. But by definition, if someone catches your error in the written word, it's public. And I'll tell you what, man, there are bad people that would love to take advantage of the fact that you make a mistake. You know, I'm talking about evil people, like family members and your spouse or partner. Kids are terrible with this. If your kids see that you make a mistake, they're relentless. You know. Also the competition, if you're in business, competition loves it when you make a mistake. If you're a retailer and you have a little typo, which is a proofreading error, on the sign in the store, you're obligated, I don't know if it's a state law or if it's just how we roll in retail, you're obligated to honor that price, even if it's much, much lower than you wanted to sell it for. And people want to try to capitalize on your mistakes. It happens all the time. So before I give you these proofreading tips, I want to show you something that happened that a large group of politicians capitalized on. Recently, the president gave the State of the Union. By the way, it doesn't matter if this is a Republican or a Democrat president. It happens to everybody. Everybody makes mistakes. It happened to be President Trump's administration that made the mistake. And in the ticket for the State of the Union address, there is a very obvious typo that the Democrats chose to take advantage of. You can see there, it says State of the Union with an M at the end. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, you have to look at this and just say to yourself, how many people looked at this and signed off on it before it went to print? Isn't that bizarre? Isn't that something? That some of the smartest people in the country allegedly are proofreading this document, and it got by everybody. So the point is, it's not a political point. The point is, this happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us. And I'm going to give you some tips right now so it doesn't happen to you quite as frequently, and then we'll wrap up with some general advice about how to make fewer mistakes in anything that you're doing. So I have 4 tips for you for better proofreading. The first one is that when you write something, whether it's an email or web copy or an article, a podcast, a blog post, right, is that you would read it out loud as a form of proofreading. Because when you read the written word, you know, and you don't say it out loud, you're only processing a certain percentage of it, right? And when you read it out loud, your brain has to actually send a message to your mouth, articulate these words. And that's when you catch things like double words, maybe even spelling. But reading it out loud will help you catch things that you don't see when you just verbally read it. The second technique for proofreading is to, when you read it, do it twice, right? The proofreading process, do it at least twice. And this is especially useful to me. I do realize that everyone's different. But when I proofread, I read it all the way through to check for grammar, right? Things like spelling, syntax, punctuation, extra spaces, stuff like that. Grammar, because that's what I'm focused on when I'm reading it, is grammar. I can't check for grammar and continuity at the same time, so I do a second read through to check for continuity, and I release my brain from the responsibility of looking for stray, you know, for stray commas and that sort of thing, right? I want to focus exclusively on continuity in one reading and exclusively on grammar in another reading. This seems to help me catch more mistakes. Again, everyone's different. That's my second tip for you. My third of 4 tips is to actually after you're done cleaning, cleaning up your mess the best you can, is that you would have someone else proofread it. Always a good idea to have what are called a set of cold eyes on the document. And part of that's because they're not married to it. They're seeing it for the first time. Their eyes and their sensibility, their logic they're not going to take shortcuts, the same shortcuts you've been taking as you write the thing and move copy around. They're not burdened by any of that, so they see it in a different way. So that's the third technique. And the fourth technique, my favorite one, is this other person that you're going to have proofread it for you. Have it be a pro, P-R-O, short for professional. It doesn't have to be somebody who proofreads professionally. It doesn't have to be someone you pay to do it. But there are people who are really good at proofreading, and they're obsessive compulsive about it. They almost can't help themselves. They're the kind of people that get up in the morning and say, let me see if I can go catch some errors in this newspaper article, right? And they love it. They love catching this stuff because to them, they're just writing the world. So they don't think of you as being, egregious about it, or they might. But the bigger thing for them is they caught it and now they share it with you, right? This is like picking up a piece of litter for them, right? And so that's how you want to use these people if they care to be used in that way. I have a proofreader that I have on retainer, and she's terrific. And I call it a symbiotic relationship. She'd do it for free, man, because she just loves proofreading. But I need it done, and I need somebody to pay attention, so I pay her money. So those are the four techniques. You want to read the document aloud instead of reading it just to yourself. You want to read it for different things in different pass-throughs, right? Once for grammar, once for continuity. Read it once for expression, just to see if it seems like it flows, right? The third tip is to have someone else proofread it other than yourself, cold eyes. And the fourth tip is to have a pro or someone who's obsessive compulsive, a grammarian, right? A grammarian or a librarian. These people are very particular. Nothing gets by them, right? So if your document's important, make sure you leave time in the creation process. That's one of the biggest problems is we move too fast. So some general tips at the end. You've got to take your time with important documents. Don't be rushed, even if you're under deadline. The second is to clarify or over-communicate when you're, be sure. Test it with people. Have somebody read it. How's this sound to you? Does this resonate to you? Is this clear with you? Right? You're going to test it with people. And by over-communicating, you get a sense of whether or not it's really working. Always better to over-communicate than to under-communicate. And then finally, you want to choose the best modality for that communication, right? So you want to, if it's better to sit with somebody and look at the copy to proofread it, is it better to send it to them and send it back to you? There are ways that you can redline it or annotate it in a document and have the person send it back. And in a lot of cases, if it's pretty clean, and I just say it's a blog post and there's only 3 or 4 things, and I haven't visited with the person, they'll say paragraph 2, second sentence, change this. And then I can change it in real time, which is a blessing, man, when we can do that. So I hope these tips are helpful for you as you proofread. Remember, it's your image that you're cleaning up when you do proofreading. And best of luck with all your writing. More tips on communication, on writing, speaking, especially speaking, at michaelangelocaruso.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can be notified of new videos as they're posted. So it's youtube.com/Michaelangelo Caruso. Subscribe, baby. Thank you.